Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is June 4th, 2022, and Bitcoin looks like it's ready to break out any moment now. Right? If that interests you, then watch until the very end. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing on the charts and why I believe a breakout is very, very, very near. Okay. Now I'm gonna get started on the hourly time frame because I want to show you all some detail. Okay, and I'm going to do a bit of revisionist history, but not completely. Okay, and the purposes of this exercise is to not only learn, but also make sure that the previous reads, so you're kind of revising your previous reads, okay? You're seeing, okay, what did I see? Why did I see it? And now looking back, was that correct? And how can this inform my read on present price action? Okay, so that's the exercise we're going to engage in really quickly, okay? You all know my reversal pattern. It is comprised, this way, mon fils. It's this way. It's comprised of a sequence of 3 corrective patterns. Okay, so you have your initial break of structure, call that the A wave. Okay, and then you have the B, which is essentially just a counter to the A wave. Okay, and that can be a zigzag, a flat, or a triangle. Okay, and here you have a flat correction, but the type of flat correction that we got, in my estimation, is a 333. So that's as complex as it gets, right? That's a complex correction, WXYXZ. Okay, and I have that pictured in blue here. Okay, so that's what I see for the middling correction. Heretofore, I was saying that this was a triangle, but it can't be a triangle. Reason being that this first wave is dwarfed by this second wave. And if you have a converging triangle, this second wave, right, B can never be bigger than A. Okay, so it has to be a complex correction. Next, we have the pivot. Okay, I always talk about the pivot that comes after the B wave, right? You basically have another A wave and then another B wave. So I'm seeing a clear flat correction in this pivot right here. So that's A of the pivot, okay? And in B of the pivot, instead of a flat correction, what I'm seeing is a barrier triangle, okay? So I'm going to zoom into that part right here because this is where we're at now, all right? So basically, I hope everybody sees what I did there. I didn't catch the complex 333, and those are always tough to catch while they're forming. But the more you can revise your previous reads, I think the better your active reading is, right? It's kind of like reading music. You just have to practice sight reading, right? By reading and rereading, and then you become more fluent in reading your music, okay, your notation. So right here, I think we're in a triangle, a triangle, a barrier triangle, and a barrier triangle is essentially an ABCDE correction, where you have a base here, and I think it's clear. You know, we have a base of support right here, and you would call that in regular pattern trading a descending triangle. Okay, and a lot of pattern traders regard descending triangles as being bearish. Okay, they break down, but given the context, I think the likelihood for this is to break up, as it is just now starting to break up. Okay, so you have 5 waves comprised of 5 sets of 3 waves. 5 waves of 5 sets of 3 waves. I said that correctly. So like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get my drift. Okay. So that's what I think we're in now. So this is why it's tricky. And people are like, oh, well, if you have the answer and you found this, reversal pattern, then why can't you just call all your reversals and know exactly when everything's going to reverse? And, why aren't you a Brazilianaire? It's because you see the complexity in it. Just because you know what's coming, you don't know what form it will take. So this took a flat correction, but here we have a triangle, right? And the three forms of correction, according to Elliott Wave, you have flats, zigzags, and triangles, right? So the combinations and the permutations of, how many sets of corrections you have, essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of corrections, right? And each of those 4 sets can come in 3 flavors. That's a lot, right? I forget my math, but I learned this in math. But a permutation with 3 permutations, that's a big number. There's a lot of different possibilities, right? So it's tricky, but it's still helpful. It's still useful, right? So you have your barrier triangle here, and I'm seeing this barrier triangle as the last, right? This is the pivot, and so this should yield the breakout, okay? I believe, if this read is correct, that the next move is up and out, okay? So far, we're getting some volume, okay? On this breakout, what do I want to see? 2 things. I want to see volume, because this is going to be a breakout into impulse, and impulse needs volume. And we're going to zoom out in a second and see what it looks like on a higher time frame, because I want to see higher time frame volume. We're on the hourly chart, so this isn't, this is much ado about nothing, but higher time frame, I want to see volume. The other thing I want to see, okay, and I'm going to go back just a bit. The other thing I want to see is a breach of this white line here, okay? So let's go on the 4-hourly time frame and see what I'm talking about. So why did I draw this white line, and what is this white line? This white line is our main resistance, okay? This white line represents the neckline of this entire pattern, okay? If you look, you have a kind of inverse head and shoulders, okay? And I'm going to draw it out for those of you who aren't seeing it. Okay, and guys, if you're getting value from this analysis, please like, share, and subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it, okay? So I would take the head down here. I would take the right shoulder here, and then our triangle, our barrier triangle, is forming the right shoulder. You guys see that? And so I would say that this white line represents a clean break of this neckline, okay? Not necessarily where this pattern that I just drew ends, but here, because that is the previous high. If you look, you see there's a wick at that level, and that level is 32.6. So for me, a breakout on volume, right? If I zoom out to the 4-hourly time frame, I want to see volume on this breakout, and I want to see a breach of 32.6 before saying that this is a confirmed reversal. Yeah? And if those 2 things happen, it's a confirmed high time frame reversal, in which you can zoom out on a larger time frame and claim that this entire trend right here has been reversed, right? So that's how that works in my estimation. Those are the 2 things I want to see. Guys, again, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is this. Okay, why did I start the video off saying that it's highly likely that we're going to get a breakout at some point soon? Here is why, okay? I'm going to turn on my stochastic RSI indicator. I want to show you all the time frames. Okay, kind of like when something happens in the movies and it's like kind of a celestial, the stars are aligned, quite literally. When we say that expression, everything aligns and converges to give a big result. So for me, looking at the stochastic RSI, everything is aligned and creating some strong bullish divergence. I'm just going to delete all of this stuff just to clean up the charts, okay? Let's see. I'm going to delete this. Okay, because I don't like messy charts. Okay, now, here, obviously, it's divergence, or it's not divergence, but it's if we get a cross here, that's going to be a bullish cross. There's not much divergence just because this low is lower, but you're going to get a cross on the daily. Okay, let's go back even further. The weekly has been oversold for quite some time, and that should yield a cross, okay? So a cross on the weekly is imminent, right? A cross on the daily is close, and I'm talking about a bullish cross where the blue line crosses above the orange line, okay? For those of you who don't know, right? A cross on the 12-hourly time frame, a bullish cross on the 12-hourly time frame would happen, okay? With a pump. A cross on the 8-hourly time frame. You see all of these time frames from the weekly all the way down, and we're not done yet. 4-hourly crossed already, okay? It's crossed bullish already, and it's, mind you, all of these except for maybe the daily were in oversold territory, meaning, and when I talk about oversold and overbought, if you look at the stochastic RSI, the middle or 50 is, the middle, okay? But anything under 50, especially 0 to 30, that's oversold. Anything from 80 to 100, above 50 and especially 80 to 100 is overbought, okay? And that's why you see, for those of you who don't know, this band, this purple band or whatever color it is on your chart, that represents the kind of median, the middle, not overbought or oversold, but anything above the purple band is strongly overbought. Anything below the purple band is strongly oversold, just so you guys know, okay? And so, yeah, 4-hourly crossed bullish already, okay? And the hourly time frame crossed bullish and showing some volume. So this is why I think it's very likely that we get this bounce sooner than later. I don't know when, right? That's the question, right? You do all this analysis, but given all the different combinations that these corrective waves can take and different forms they can take, it's really hard to say, oh, this is done, right? But you just have to go back and read and, give a sense, use your indicators, use your reads on your price action to see what's likely going on. So that, just a response to some people who think, well, you said that yesterday and 2 days before, nothing's fundamentally changed. We've held support right here in this this consolidation, okay? And this is still a reversal pattern, right? With all of the elements that I pointed out earlier. So nothing's fundamentally changed. It's just there's a challenge in knowing exactly how long this triple three correction is going to take and when it's going to end, right? And exactly when your pivot's going to end and what form the either wave of the pivot is going to take. You see what I mean, right? Not making excuses, it's just giving you the reality. That's what analysts have to deal with, right? It's not impossible to know when, but it's challenging for those reasons, okay? And people don't really explain this often in analysis, right? So guys, if you're getting value, if you've only heard it here, please like, share, and subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it. Now, just a quick glance around the market, right? Because cryptocurrency markets aren't just comprised of Bitcoin, although Bitcoin is the market leader. Just having a look on my watch list, right? My spot watch list. And, you have some assets like, let's see. Okay, I don't need this. Some assets like RSR, I think are already in impulse, okay? And if you go to the high time frames, you can see this very clearly. You see it had a reversal pattern, an A wave, a B wave, probably a complex correction, and then a pivot into impulse. And that impulse is very clear because you have some very strong volume, okay? And that's what you're waiting to see. But now, for those of you who say, well, that's not impulsive because it's sideways. Well, this is what we call a leading diagonal, right? And leading diagonal is the only time, in my estimation, in my understanding of Elliott wave theory, where your wave 2 can breach the 618, okay? And the only thing is your wave 4 can't come lower than your wave 2, okay? So those are basically the only rules. Wave 2 can't breach the low of wave 1. Wave 4 can't breach the low of wave 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's at a neckline, and kind of like Bitcoin, it's forming this inverse head and shoulders, and that breakout should yield that big pump for wave 5. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing in reserve rights. In Cardano, I'm also seeing a type of inverse head and shoulders play out. And as you can see, you have 1, 2, right? And this is that right shoulder, right? This is that right shoulder forming. You also have a cross, bullish cross, in like a imminent bullish cross on the daily time frame. So I think that you're going to get that breakout very soon. You can see this in the rest of the market, not just Bitcoin. That's why I like looking laterally at other assets, right? You see this very clearly, right? What's the next move? If you had to put money on it, if you're reading charts and you have any clue about price action, it's very likely that this is impulse, bull flag, impulse. The next move is an impulse, right? So Dodo, I think this is another instance where we've already actually broken out, but the breakout was into a leading diagonal. You got your wave 1. I think very likely that this was wave 1, because if you do your count, you have your A, B, your A of the pivot, your B of the pivot. That was your first wave on strong volume, right? Your volume indicator does not lie. Wave 2, right, retraced wave 1, but not beyond the origination point of wave 1. And so the next move is your wave 3 up to this neckline. Okay, wave 4 creates your right shoulder for your inverse head and shoulders, and wave 5 goes up much more than I showed. Probably wave 5 comes up here somewhat. Yeah? So that's what I'm seeing on Dodo. Okay? Kadena. This is, to me, another case of a W pattern, right? You had your initial break, you had your B wave, and now your pivot started here, right here. And this was your B wave of the pivot, right? And so your next move is up and out. Okay? So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that this support has been holding, right? I said this yesterday. This support has been holding. I expect it to continue to hold. Revain is one of those that's, when it breaks out, it's really going to break out because it has very little volatility. It's one of those that's just been coiling and coiling and coiling in this very small space. When it does break out, I expect this breakout to be the loudest, just because the variance, the amplitude of these moves is so small. Okay, I think what you're getting here is, in the reversal, you had an initial break of structure, you had your B wave, you had A of B right here, and then for B of B, the pivot, you had a triangle. So you had 5 waves. I'm not going to count them out here, but you can count out 5 waves. A, B, C, D, E. I expect the next move up and out of this triangle to be the big pump, okay? And here again on this classic RSI, you have a near cross on the daily time frame, okay? Telcoin, I see the same thing, and here I counted it out as I see on Revain. A wave, B wave, A of the pivot, and then B of the pivot is a triangle. Maybe not a barrier triangle. I don't know what this type of triangle is called. I'd have to look it up. I always make reference to my Elliott Waves Made Simple manual. There's no shame in that, right? Continual learning, always trying to get better. But that's what I see on Telcoin. Guys, if you got value from this rundown, from this analysis, like, share, and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. I don't see much of any analysis at this depth on the internet, right? I just don't. I wish I did, because I want to learn too. All right, guys, thank you. Have a great Saturday. Bye.